I was told, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, that when I was in school, like, that's the guy, that's Bruce Hanna, that's the guy who invented the Nerf ball.
It's a great story.
Yes. Now,
Andy, well, first of all, Andy and I have to meet. All right, but
right.
that's another story.
Right.
But I'll tell you that.
We'll get back to that.
Okay, we'll get back to that. So, yes. All right, so it is true, somehow. The foam football. We are credited, we will take credit for the foam football.
Right.
Happened because one of us had inadvertently made a football out of foam so that we would stop breaking things in the studio and in other people's studios that we went to visit. So we...
Wait, let's step back a minute. How did you, first of all, how did you come up with the idea? Who came up with the idea?
Oh, we're not sure.
Okay, which is a group of you guys.
No, it was Andy and I.
Okay.
We had this studio on 27 Howard Street, and we were making, studios should be filled with stuff you don't know what you're going to do with.
Okay.
When a studio is filled with stuff that you know what you're going to do with, nothing good happens. Just so the same old stuff happens, right?
Right.
So we had, like 6-inch foam, and we had 2-inch foam. We had all kinds of foam because we were furniture designers, right?
Right.
And this happened about the same time that Knoll had decided that they would back us, and we would start making furniture. So we made this funny thing, and we made it on a bandsaw. I don't know whether you ever cut soft foam on a bandsaw. It's a way to lose both hands,
yes.
because it gets, it gets jammed and it grabs, and it's like, it was pretty crazy. So we did it, right? And we would throw it around, and people would keep asking us, can we have one? And when we were in Soho at the time, before it was Soho. Actually, the other day I'm on an airplane, and I'm looking that there is a Crosby hotel, and it's double 5-star, a triple 5-star hotel on a street I used to play stickball on Saturday because no one was there. No one was there. You could have laid down in the middle of the street on Saturday afternoon. No one was there, And so we would, we'd play football and everything like that. And we used to make stuff that we didn't know what to do with. And this was one of these things that was made just to throw around. It started out, I'm sure, as pieces of foam that we just threw at each other, and they decided that we had to make it somewhat aerodynamic, I guess.
Okay.
So it became aerodynamic. And
so when you made it, it was sort of like this kind of tetrahedron kind of thing, because you cut it.
Oh yeah, it was a mess.
Okay.
And yet they would break down very easily because they were just foam. There's no skin on it or anything.
Right.
So we were working on this chair for Knoll, and this new material, a new way to make polyurethane foam, came into existence. Up until that moment, polyurethane foam was made with steam. The molds were incredibly expensive. You had to have steam connected to it. It was a nightmare to make. And all of a sudden, someone invented a chemical way to do it. You just pour two things together, and and it expands. So we were very interested in that. So what we did was, we get in our little car and we drive out to Hazleton, Pennsylvania, where the factory was, a General Foam factory. And
so this period here, you were just kind of experimenting.
Oh, when we worked in our studio, the great thing about working, I worked with Andy nonstop, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, almost, for 10 years. And we thought we could, anybody gave us a design problem, we could do it. It wasn't even hard to do.
Okay.
So, but what we did was,
so you're going to Pennsylvania now, and was it something that you saw in a magazine, that you saw that there was this new process? Or?
No. Knoll told us about it. Said, you go there and find out about this. Okay. So we went. And, we get there, and here's these aluminum molds, and they're open, and here's like foam stuff coming out. And we didn't have the money, or did we think that Knoll was going to invest in our making a hard tool? So we asked them, they said, could we make a fiberglass mold? and see if it works with your machine. And I said, sure. So on the way back to the city, we're driving along. We used to do idiotic things like drive to Scranton, Pennsylvania and back in an afternoon just for fun, you know. And we're driving along, what are we going to make? Let's make a football. Well, first of all, you have to realize we had less than $0. I mean, you know. And so it was like, okay, we'll make a football, right? So what I did was I turned a football on the drill press, because we didn't have a lathe. Drill press is kind of a vertical lathe. And we kind of eyed it. It was like, okay, it's about that big, and you know,
we just molded it.
We just made it, and we made a mold. And you know, I think a couple of weeks later, we drove out there and dropped the mold off, and the salesman, of course, took us to the diner for, you know, eats, which was great. And came back, and here is a box full of foam footballs. Your mold worked. It was like, yes. So, you know, we take the foam footballs back, and all the way back, we're like, yeah, and then now we can make these fiberglass tools for our chair and everything else. So we're like completely forgetting about the footballs, right? Because we're like, we don't have to ever make another foam football. We're like thrilled, you know?
Right. It's done.
It's done. We're done, right? You know? And we get back there, and a couple of months later, I don't know how long, a couple of months, a fellow who was working for us comes in and says, they're selling your football. And we go, what? What football, I think was our, you know. And they said, no, there's foam football. Yeah. So we call up General Foam, who calls up, you know, the next morning there's like 2 limos outside of our, you know, studio. And they come up to the studio, and, you know, they come in and they say, we would like to buy, you know, the foam football. And we go, you want to buy this stupid idea? You know, you really think this is worthwhile? You know, we're trying to talk them out of it. You know, it's like, it's the dumb, why would you want this, you know? Right. And
you just made it out of fun. You just
you know, to us it was valueless.
Right.
You know? The chairs were important, you know? And so we, they gave us a lot of money. I mean, for 2
long
guys,
and short of it, right?
No, for 2 guys who had almost nothing,
right?
We were like, whoa.
So did you have to sign over your rights?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, okay.
We got smart after that. You know?
All right.
And I have no regrets.
Okay.
I do not regret it. I mean, 2 years later, there was Super Bowl, you know, commercials for the foam football. It was like, you know, you idiot, you know. I mean, if I had a penny for every one that's sold, I'd own the Bahamas, you know. Romney be working for me, you know.